Hello and welcome to Strait Talk. I'm Ayse Suberker. The Turkish Navy has become one of the world's top 10 maritime powers, designing and building its own frigates. In 2023, it launched its flagship, the TCG Anadolu, the first unmanned combat aerial vehicle carrier in the world. And the country's latest project is looking to go the extra mile to strengthen its naval capabilities. Zeynep Gökçe has more.
The Istanbul Naval Shipyard is busier than ever. On one side, an iconic presidential yacht is being repaired. Another part shows off the PNS Babur corvette, made for the Pakistani Navy, and the TCG Istanbul frigate, which was delivered in January. Then there's the ongoing work inside the factory, with projects led by a unit working under Turkey's Naval Forces Command. It's called the Directorate of Design Project Office and is set to build the country's largest ever domestic aircraft carrier with a team of over 100 people. While the preliminary designs for the ambitious project are ready, the office says some features might change over time. The initial plan foresees 50 manned and unmanned domestic aerial vehicles. That includes the light attack aircraft Hürjet, unmanned jet fighter Kızıl Elma, and the famed TB3 drones. As for Turkey's fifth-generation fighter jet Kaan, a naval version of it is being considered, though it's unclear whether it will be included in this project. The making of the new aircraft carrier comes just a year after the TCG Anadolu entered service, a multi-purpose amphibious assault ship with a landing helicopter dock which boasts of 70% domestic production. Turkey wants to increase that rate with its upcoming aircraft carrier, as it does with all aspects of production in its defense industry.
As you've just seen in the factory, we only fall short with the main propulsion systems, the machines, but we are working very hard in nationalizing and localizing them. Hopefully, with the support of our Ministry of National Defense, we are moving towards this goal step by step.
For Turkey, having a strong navy is a must, and is an integral part of its Blue Homeland Doctrine, a strategy to protect its coasts in the Black, Aegean and Mediterranean seas. While geopolitical upheavals have forced the country to boost its defense industry over the past years, the latest tensions caused by the conflict in Gaza have only made things worse in the region. Because Turkey wants to be ready for any possibility, it's also placing great importance on becoming 100% self-sufficient in its defense industry. Zeynep Gökçe, Strait Talk.
And for more on Turkey's future aircraft carrier, joining me now from Budapest is Zoltan Egeresi. He's a political analyst. And from Ankara, Merve Seren Yesiltas. She is an associate professor at Yildirim Beyazit University. A warm welcome to you both, and thanks for joining me on Strait Talk. So, Merve, Turkey now says it's building its largest ever domestic aircraft carrier. How big of a step is this for the Turkish Navy?
Well, actually, you know that I think it's going to represent, as you know, I think the significant representation of the Turkish Armed Forces power projection was the TCG Anadolu, as we have already discussed in previous programs with you. But now with this aircraft carrier, I think Turkey is going to provide a much more enhanced power projection, and it is going to increase its naval capabilities and its strategic significance, and it's going to once again prove its industrial development process. And of course, we shouldn't underestimate the regional implications, because as you know, the Turkey is I think this aircraft carrier it is going to potentially alter the balance of the power in the East Mediterranean and influencing the maritime dynamics in the region and in wider regions. So it's also going to stimulate the responses from the neighboring countries, as you can guess, and it will create like much more impact on the regional security, on the dynamics.
So, Zoltan, why do you think is Turkey thriving to become one of the world's strongest naval forces?
Yeah, it's a really complex issue because if you look at the Turkish geopolitical entry, we can see a great number of wars and army conflicts. For example, in the northern part of the Black Sea is a war zone in practice. We have conflicts and tensions in the South Caucasus, and also an ongoing war in Gaza. Also, again, conflicts in Syria, and tensions in the Eastern Mediterranean and in the greater geopolitical area, which push Turkey in order to increase its defensive capabilities. And in line with that, it's deterrence capabilities as well. And also really important to emphasize, by having this robust fleet, Turkey will be able to have a greater power projection opportunities and capabilities. And in line with that, Turkey will be able to protect which is really important, trade routes, which are ultimate source of the Turkish economy, as Turkey intends to become a trading state, and will have a really important contribution to regional security, not just in the Eastern Mediterranean, but seeing the Turkish engagement in the case of Horn of Africa in a much greater geopolitical area.
So, Merve, do you know what would it look like when completed? Because we've been hearing that the initial plan foresees 50 manned and unmanned domestic aerial vehicles will be deployed on this aircraft carrier. I mean, how would that increase Turkey's offensive power moving forward?
First of all, I think that this aircraft carrier will be very much, resembling some features of the modern, aircraft carriers. So first, just give a little bit of technical detail. So I think the flight deck will be important. The island superstructure will be very important because it's going to shape the command center, the navigation, and any other, essential facilities. And of course, it's going to increase the situational awareness. That is the concept that we are discussing a lot in the NATO in the recent decade. So the hangar deck, aircraft, the defense systems, equipment, the propulsion system, it will be all indigenously, domestically produced. So when we are coming from the unmanned and manned and unmanned air vehicles, I think so we have got, how do they contribute to the offensive power? First of all, they are going to provide an extended reach. And the second thing is that they are going to provide versatility. So what do we mean by versatility is that they are going to offer flexibility in the mission planning and execution within the capabilities, as you can guess, from the air-to-air combat or air-to-surface strikes with the reconnaissance. And of course, with the unmanned systems, you will have got like longer endurance, and it's going to, you have also lower risk for the human pilots. And of course, we shouldn't underestimate the role of the persistent surveillance with the systems, and they are going to increase the precision strikes, and it will be both of the system will be both a force multiplier, and it's going to serve for the increasing deterrence of the Turkish armed forces and the Navy.
So, Zoltan, you briefly mentioned conflicts around Turkey. Turkey just announced, due to Israel's onslaught on Gaza, it will halt trade ties with the country. So could tensions in the Eastern Mediterranean along Israel's and Gaza's coast escalate and involve other regional countries?
Yeah, the situation is really delicate. And also recently we can see small-scale clashes between Iran and Israel as well. So there is a higher probability right now to have a greater conflict. However, as what we can see, regional countries try to de-escalate or at least avoid higher escalation, and they try to mend fences. However, the situation is really demanding, and there is unfortunately some opportunity for greater armed conflict.
But we also know, Zoltan, that much of Turkey's trade with Israel is done via sea through the Eastern Mediterranean. So what other measures could Turkey impose on Israel via trade or other maritime areas?
Yeah, probably the easiest way to halt trade, which will a little bit limit Israeli room for maneuver. And of course, Turkey can try to help the Palestinian population in Gaza by humanitarian aid and so on. And of course, by having greater fleet commitment in order to, let's say, support Palestinians, will also in a limited manner deter Israel. However, I don't think that Turkey is really interested to really escalate this kind of conflict, because it can have unpredictable outcomes.
So, but Merve, why does Turkey need aircraft carriers? I mean, many have argued that they have become too costly.
Well, actually, yes, true. So the thing is that definitely, undoubtedly, they are very expensive to be able to operate and maintain, and they require lots of, significant investments in for the infrastructure, for the personal training and logistics, and also they are being discussed if they are like the cost and the utility, do they meet each other, and but also, and another thing is that when you are looking at the battlefields, like in the Russian and Ukraine, everyone is discussing the A2 and AD capabilities, because now the long-range missiles and the anti-ship missiles, ballistic missiles, they have raised the questions about the survivability of the aircraft carriers. But at the end of the day, we have to think that it is a power projection. So because of their ability to project the power and influence, they are creating versatility, flexibility, and deterrence, as I already mentioned, and they are force multipliers. So the thing is that if their mobility and survivability of the carriers make them very difficult targets for the adversaries to neutralize, so further enhancing their deterrence value.
So Zoltan, does Turkey have the necessary know-how and manpower to materialize this project, or will it seek foreign cooperation this time as well?
So this Turkey has the commitment to do that. And it's really important. According to the plan, this warship will be entirely domestically built. Right now, around 70% of the military products are produced by Turkey itself. But based on what we could see in the last years, last decade, the share of the Turkish contribution to the military industry is on the rise. So I think we can be optimistic about the outcome of this indigenous project. But of course, it will take years. But in different level of technologies, ranging from the drone industry to missile system and so on, the Turkish military industry is doing well and investing in a high pace in order to reach this domestic level.
So Merve, some voices within Turkey argue that the Turkish Navy should prioritize critical projects like the I-class frigate and TF-2000 air defense destroyer over the aircraft carrier. Would you agree?
Well, actually, I think if you would like to be a, naval power in the regional power, you cannot, differentiate if you are going to just only build, smaller navy, or if you're going to become a shallow navy. But the thing is that we shouldn't underestimate the political consideration. The Turkey wants to be blue navy projection. Okay, so Turkey wants to be a regional power. So this is the reason that I think it is not the first step that we are developing our aircraft carrier, but at the same time we have got all the TCG warships. So the aircraft carrier will be a, force multiplier. And the thing is that we have got the technological expertise, we have got the infrastructure and all the facilities, and we have got the final resources. And most importantly, when you compare with the other NATO countries, we have got the operational experience, and we have got a very consistent, supportive political considerations in order to have a regional navy power. So this is the reason that you cannot differentiate it. So when you differentiate the systems from each other, I think you are going to underestimate it, joint force projection. And Turkey is not, I think, it's not prioritizing the cost considerations, but Turkey is considering the power projection and versatility and flexibility. So this is the reason that I think Turkey is not going to hesitate investing on aircraft carrier.
All right, Merve and Zoltan, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Strait Talk.